Hello team, hope you're all okay. Today we've got a short lecture for you on hypertrophy. This is one of the most common goals that we have coming to us at ELEV8, and therefore we're going to take a deep dive today into the process, how we can train to ensure that we're giving ourselves the maximum chance of achieving muscular hypertrophy, what we can do in regards to recovery on our habits outside of the gym to achieve hypertrophy. And then the final main point we will look at is the benefits of hypertrophy, not just on a performance basis, but also how it can benefit us outside of the gym in regards to our overall health and longevity. So first of all, we're going to look at what hypertrophy actually is and what it involves. So the broad definition there is the process of cells or tissue in the body increasing in size, which occurs in response to a stimulus. So hypertrophy doesn't only take place with our muscles, it can also take place in other areas of the body, such as skin and our skeleton as well. When talking though about muscular hypertrophy, we're looking at the increase in size of muscle tissue due to a training stimulus. Now, as I'm sure many of you will know, the most common method for achieving hypertrophy through training is through resistance training and weight training, which causes slight damage to the muscle cells and muscle fibers. And then, due to the process of hypertrophy, or otherwise known as supercompensation, when the muscle is repaired, it is then larger than before, leading to the overall growth of the muscle. So, this process is driven by three main factors when we are training. So, the main one is mechanical tension. So this is the overall force generated when muscles contract under load. So lifting weights with intensity or lifting heavy weights causes the muscle fibers to stretch and contract, which initiates muscle growth signals back to the body. The damage, as we've just spoken about there, to the muscle. So when you do train, uh, you will develop microscopic, very small tears that form in the muscle fibers. The body then repairs these fibers, making them thicker and stronger. This is why we have such an emphasis with you guys when you start with us and continue as members on your recovery and proper nutrition, as they are so important in order to help you recover from the training that you do in the gym and then achieve hypertrophy and gains in your strength. The final one there is metabolic stress, or the pump, as you'll be more familiar with. So this is the feeling that you get during training when the muscles accumulate metabolites. So blood and oxygen is driven into the muscle. You also be aware of lactate acid, which you'll build up through more higher rep, higher intensity cardio, particularly the rower and the ski and the bike erg as well, which you'll feel when you're really pushing the intensity on that. So this stress triggers hormonal responses that contribute to muscle growth. So just to summarize there, hypertrophy is the stimulus of training, which then causes a breakdown in the muscle, and then you see other impacts, which then cause us to send signals back across the body to make it aware that we need to allocate energy from our nutrition to then repair that muscle and then grow back bigger and stronger. So hypertrophy, it is a continuous process with ourselves training. So obviously you guys will train anywhere from 3 to maybe 4 or 5 times a week. And this is the process that you're continuously going on. So as you can see there, we start with your training that then causes the muscle damage. You then have your recovery, which, as we said, underpins everything that you're doing. And then through the recovery to that damage, you'll then have the super compensation or hypertrophy within the body that leaves our muscles bigger and stronger. And then we go again. And then we repeat this over days, weeks, and months, most likely years for many of us. And hopefully we continuously build muscle and get stronger over time. So key factors to look at and to be aware of when we are training in the gym if hypertrophy is one of our goals. So intensity is the big one. We do need to train at a certain level of intensity to provide that stimulus to the muscles, which will then lead to the damage that we've spoken about, and then the hypertrophy off the back of that. So as you'll see with all our sessions, as are on the board and we go through as coaches, we are always looking for you to go within 1 to 3 reps of failure. Now, when we say this, when we talk about what failure is, that's if we were under some kind of strain, what is it that we could maximally do with whatever weight we've got on the bar or the dumbbell or the kettlebell, where we would simply not be able to do another rep. We want you to think of where that point is and then come back by 1 to 3 reps. This has been shown to give you the same benefits as training to failure, but without a lot of the negative impact as well, such as huge fatigue and high risk of injury. The volume, in terms of how many sets you do and how many reps are within those sets. So it has been shown that sets of anywhere between 5 and 30 reps do provide similar results when training for hypertrophy, as long as you are within 1 to 3 reps of failure when you finish that set. Your range of motion is also a huge factor, so ensuring that we're stretching the muscles as much as we can before contracting them. If you were to think about a bench press, for instance, this would be lowering the bar to the chest, making contact, and then driving all the way up and locking out at the top of the movement. Progressive overload is another factor that we promote. The app that you use allows you to progressively overload over time. So this is increasing the stress that you place on the muscles through increasing either the reps or the weight that you're lifting. And obviously on some of the exercises in the program, you'll notice we may start the program by doing 3 sets and then gradually increase that to 4. Again, another way of putting progressive overload into your training. And then the final one is tempo. Again, something we're really focusing on in this phase of the program, where we'll ask you to lower the weight maybe over a 2 to 4 second period, slowing that stretching period down, or the eccentric portion of the lift, can also cause greater muscle damage, which then when you recover from it can lead to greater hypertrophy over time, among a number of other benefits to slowing the eccentric down, again, such as reducing the risk of injury. So what we can do outside of the gym, and again, just really want to emphasize that as hard as you may train in the gym, or as effective as your training may be in terms of the quality of the programming, if you aren't doing the necessary actions outside of the gym, it is going to be extremely difficult to build muscle. Okay, so building muscle is not an easy task anyway. It's nowhere near the top of the list of priorities for the body to build muscle in terms of how it's allocating its energy. So you do need to really make sure that you're honed in on what you're doing away from the gym to cause hypertrophy within the body. The first one is sleep. So adequate, good quality deep sleep supports the recovery and that process of supercompensation. Other types of rest and relaxation. So low stress activities, getting your feet up, relaxing with your partner, relaxing with your kids is hugely beneficial when it comes to building muscle. Calorie surplus. So one thing that is hugely neglected for people who are trying to build muscle is the need to be in a calorie surplus. So as mentioned, there are a number of other functions that take priority within the body in terms of the energy allocation that you have. Building muscle will require your body to have a surplus of energy for it to then put that energy towards building, repairing bigger muscles and creating new tissue on the muscle as well. Along with the surplus, your protein intake, which is something we speak to every new member about, and we constantly check in with you as well on your protein intake, and something we try and help you with, as we appreciate that for you to build muscle, to get strong, to recover from your sessions, adequate protein is essential. And then the final two there, hydration. So being hydrated helps transport those nutrients into the muscles, and your supplementation as well. So it can aid recovery by providing the body with other nutrients and compounds that it may lack through your diet. So creatine is a huge one for this, as your body does create creatine and can obtain it through your diet, but usually you will get a lot more from taking creatine on a regular basis. And then the final 2 points here, so the benefits of hypertrophy. So by having more muscle tissue, it can then help you increase your strength and your power. So it's not a linear relationship. So as you'll know from us in the gym, there may be some smaller, less muscular guys who can lift more weight than the bigger guys. But what it does mean is if you have that extra muscle tissue on the body and we can train it correctly and then get it to contract and generate force quickly, you should then see increases to your strength and power. Joint stability, so particularly as you get older, having more muscle around the knees and around the glutes and the hips will help you prevent falls and trips and also help you in sport as well, in helping reduce your risk of injury. And then also on your conditioning work on the erg, so being strong, holding more muscle can actually help you with cardio, so your perceived effort. So let's say you're on the row, for instance, and by pulling, let's say, a 130 per 500-meter stroke is 100% of your output for strength and power. That's going to tax you extremely quickly. If you put that speed through at 80%, obviously the perceived rate of effort is lower and you'll be able to hold that pace for longer. So building muscle tissue can actually help and transfer across to your cardio work as well. And just a quick disclaimer there, obviously these are dependent on the amount of muscle that is gained and there is a point of diminishing return. So if you do pack on far too much muscle, which for natural lifters like everyone here in ELEV8 and us coaches, that can be extremely difficult to do anyway, but just want to stress that point there before we go into the final one, which is the benefits of hypertrophy away from the gym. So increasing your muscle tissue, again, within reason, can have a large array of benefits on our day-to-day lives and overall health. So injury prevention outside of the gym, as we've discussed there, particularly as you start to age. Better balance and stability, which goes hand in hand. Less trips and falls, again, as we get older. Our bone density, so hypertrophy training can improve bone density and help prevent osteoporosis, which is a huge benefit, again, as we get older. Our immune systems are improved through increased muscle mass, and our overall immune system as well is much better for having that muscle tissue with us. Our metabolic rate, so with increased muscle mass, our basal metabolic rate will be higher, so it means you'll burn more calories at rest and can eat more whilst remaining at maintenance or even in a calorie deficit. Overall aging, so increased muscle mass will support in mitigating the impact of aging, allowing for a longer period of independence and expanding our health span. Also our mood, so not necessarily the hypertrophy itself, but training for hypertrophy can improve mood, confidence, and help mitigate the impact of mental health conditions such as depression. So just to summarize there, so as you can see, we've just very quickly summarized what hypertrophy is. So it is the damaging muscle tissue through physical training before supporting the process of supercompensation through rest, recovery, and providing the body with adequate nutrition. Really important that we take notice of our actions both in and outside of the gym when this is one of our goals, and that it has so many benefits for us both in and outside of the gym, arguably the greatest impact being had on our day-to-day lives. Benefits, not just physical, but also psychological. And finally there, the hypertrophy that we get from our training and training for hypertrophy is crucial for ensuring we continue to thrive as we age. So that's today's lecture, guys. Hope you found that really helpful and hopefully interesting as well. If you have any further questions on this, if there's anything in there that you're unaware of that you want to maybe dig a little bit more on, just give me a shout. Okay, thanks, guys.